Okay, picture this. It's a scenario that is, I think, a universal nightmare.
Oh, yeah. We've all been there.
You find the perfect job. I mean, it feels like it was written just for you. You apply, you get the interview, and you crush it.
You build that rapport, you answer every question.
Exactly. You walk out of there thinking, I've got this. This is mine. You're already planning where to put your plants on the desk.
And then just silence.
Right. Or maybe worse, you get that cold, generic email 3 days later. Thank you for your interest, but we've decided to move forward with other candidates.
It's maddening. It feels like a gut punch because, in your head, the math just doesn't add up.
That is exactly what we're unpacking today. We're going on a deep dive into the whole mystery of job rejection. We've pulled together a ton of sources, recruiting data, advice from places like Indeed and Caffeinated Kyle, and some really heavy-hitting psychological research on bias.
And our mission here is to decode what's actually happening behind those closed doors. We're moving way past the obvious stuff.
Yeah, this isn't about, showing up late or having a typo on your resume.
No. We are looking at the hidden reasons, the structural, the psychological, and sometimes the totally unconscious factors that lead to that no.
So let's start with something that might be reassuring. The factors that are completely out of your control. Because I think we all internalize this, right? We think I wasn't good enough.
We do.
But looking at this research, is it possible to be the perfect candidate and still lose?
Oh, absolutely. It happens constantly. And this brings us to the internal candidate phenomenon.
Okay.
Sources like Caffeinated Kyle and Cheeto point this out. A lot of the time, a company already has somebody in mind for the job, someone who already works there.
But then why post the job publicly? I mean, why put me through all of that if the job is already basically taken? It feels like a waste of my time.
It does, but from their side, it's about a process they call benchmarking.
Benchmarking, define that for us.
It's basically market research. They like their internal person, but they need to be sure. They need to see, how does our person stack up against what's out there?
So I am a measuring stick.
One source, Dice, puts it in a really interesting way. You might have been part of a focus group without even knowing it.
That sounds incredibly cynical. You're just a prop in someone else's promotion.
It can feel that way. But for the company, it's about risk. The internal candidate is a known quantity. They know the systems, the culture, and honestly, they're usually cheaper.
Right. No recruiting fees.
Exactly. So unless you are just exponentially, undeniably better, the safe bet almost always wins.
So you're fighting against inertia as much as anything else.
Precisely. And speaking of things you can't control, we have to talk about timing. You could be the perfect person, but if you interview during a hiring pause, your skills just don't matter.
A hiring pause. So they just stop the process in the middle of it all.
Yes. Caffeinated Kyle points out that things like budget cuts or shifting priorities can just halt everything silently. They almost never tell you, hey, we lost the money for this role.
They just ghost you.
They ghost you. Or you get that generic rejection because it's easier than explaining all their internal chaos. So the letter says, you didn't pass, but the reality is we ran out of money.
Or we don't need this job anymore.
Or that. And on the flip side, sometimes it's just about speed. An employer might be desperate.
Desperate how?
They just need a body and a seat fast. So they hire the first good enough person that walks in the door. Even if you were the perfect fit, if your application came in 2 days later,
too late.
The door was already closed. The decision was made before they even saw your name.
So the rejection isn't you're not good enough. It's just you weren't first.
Exactly. It's a logistical failure, not a personal one.
That actually connects to another piece of feedback that is so confusing, the dreaded, you're overqualified.
Ah, yes. The overqualified paradox.
It sounds like a compliment, doesn't it? Oh, I'm just too skilled for this job. But it's a rejection. I've never understood why having more skill is a bad thing.
You'd think it would be great. Right.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to look at it from their perspective, which is all about risk. Bryn's Perelson breaks it down into a few key fears. The biggest one is flight risk.
They think I'm going to leave.
As soon as something better comes along, they're terrified of spending all this time and money to train you, only to have you jump ship in 3 months for a job that actually fits your experience.
Okay, I can see the logic there. No one wants to rehire for the same job twice in 1 year.
Right. And then there's the fear of boredom. They worry that if the job isn't challenging you, you'll just, disengage. Phone it in.
And salary.
And salary, of course. They assume you'll eventually demand what you're actually worth on the market, which they probably can't afford.
Those are practical concerns. But looking at our notes here from my career GPS, there's also an ego thing involved.
Oh, absolutely. This is where it gets really interesting psychologically. It's the pecking order issue.
Pecking order.
Imagine you're a hiring manager, maybe a younger one, and you're about to hire someone with 20 years more experience than you. That can be really intimidating.
Intimidating how? You think they won't take direction from you?
That's a big part of it. They worry you won't buy in to their leadership. But there's a darker fear, too.
Which is?
That you're coming for their job. Or that you'll just make them look bad by comparison. So, ironically, being too good can trigger a manager's insecurity.
That is wild. So it's not even about, can you do this job? It's about, will you make me feel secure in my job?
Precisely. It's self-preservation disguised as a hiring decision.
Okay, let's pivot to the things that we can control, or at least influence. We hear this term cultural fit all the time. It feels like such a buzzword.
It is.
What does it actually mean when you get rejected for it?
It's that soft factor that can kill an otherwise perfect application. It's not about your skills. It's about the vibe.
The vibe.
Yeah. Indeed gives a great example. Say you're this highly creative, independent person. You love a bit of chaos. You love building things from nothing.
Okay.
If you apply to a company that's super structured, very formal, very supervision heavy, you're probably going to get rejected.
Even if I have all the technical skills they want?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because the friction cost is too high. You'd be miserable, and your manager would be exhausted. It can be as subtle as being too entrepreneurial or maybe too introverted for that specific team.
It's like being the right color puzzle piece, but you're just the wrong shape.
That is a perfect analogy. And this is related to the idea of just being memorable.
Memorable?
Yeah, Caffeinated Kyle says a huge reason for rejection is simply being forgettable.
Ouch. You were great, but I forgot you existed 5 minutes after you left.
It happens more than you'd think. These interviewers might meet 10, 15 people for one role. You can't boil down your fabulousness, as they put it, into a few key sentences. You blend in.
So give me an example. What's a forgettable answer versus a memorable one?
Okay, a forgettable answer is, I increased sales by 20%. It's a fact. It's fine. But it's dry.
Right.
A memorable answer tells a story. When I got there, the team was demoralized. I implemented a new system, I rallied everyone together, and within 6 months, we didn't just hit our target, we smashed it by 20%.
Ah, I see. The story sticks, the number doesn't.
Facts fade, stories stick. And enthusiasm is part of this too. If 2 candidates are equal on paper, the one who shows they actually want to be there gets the job. A lack of enthusiasm in your voice, your body language, it's a deal breaker.
They want to know you want this job, not just any job.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's go deeper. We've talked structure, we've talked fit. Now I want to get into the darker stuff, the things happening in the brain that we don't even know about.
Right. This is where we have to talk about the science of it, about implicit stereotypes.
Okay, define that. How's that different from just being prejudiced?
Well, an explicit stereotype is conscious. It's thinking, I don't like Group X. Implicit stereotypes are, they're pre-reflective.
Pre-reflective.
It means they happen before you even have time to think. They are your brain's shortcuts, formed by everything you've ever seen or heard. And the really scary part is that they can operate even when you consciously reject them.
So you can believe in equality, but your brain can still be running this old biased software in the background.
That's a great way to put it.
So how does this actually show up in hiring? Give me some examples from the data.
The most famous one is the resume study. Researchers send out identical resumes. Same skills, same experience, everything. The only difference was the names.
Okay.
Resumes with white-sounding names got way more callbacks than identical ones with black-sounding names.
That is devastating. So you're rejected before you even get a chance to speak?
Exactly. And it goes further. There's a strong, proven implicit link between male and math science and female and arts. Research even shows parents rate their daughters' math abilities lower than their sons, even when they get the exact same grades.
So a woman interviewing for a heavy tech role is fighting this unconscious headwind from the interviewer, who might think she doesn't really fit here, even if her resume is perfect.
Correct. It's an uphill battle. And then you have things like adultification bias.
I haven't heard of that one.
It's a documented bias where black boys as young as 10 are perceived as older and less innocent than their white peers. In a hiring context, that can translate to much harsher judgments about attitude.
Wow.
And of course, there's ageism. Younger managers making snap judgments about an older worker's ability to learn new tech or take direction.
It sounds like all of this really comes down to in-group favoritism.
That's the biological root of it all. We are hardwired to favor one of us. It's linked to oxytocin, the trust hormone. If an interviewer sees you as part of their in-group, same school, same background, whatever, they unconsciously trust you more.
So cultural fit could just be a corporate code word for I feel more comfortable with people who are just like me.
A lot of the time, yes.
Yeah.
And that's a huge barrier to diversity. It just creates these echo chambers where companies hire the same person over and over because it feels safe to the lizard brain.
This is heavy, and it explains why the rejection letters are so vague. They can't exactly say, "Sorry, my unconscious bias kicked in."
No, they certainly can't. So instead, they rely on HR speak.
Okay, let's try to lighten the mood a little then and translate some of that HR speak. We've got a great source from Dice for this. I'll read a phrase, you tell me what it really means.
Let's do it.
All right, phrase one. After a comprehensive search, we've selected a candidate who most closely meets our current needs.
Translation. We had no idea what we wanted until we saw it. The job description probably changed 5 times during the process.
So the target was moving while you were shooting.
Exactly.
Okay, next. You're overqualified. We touched on this, but give me the raw translation.
You're too expensive. Or even worse, I'm scared you know more than I do.
Ooh. Okay, how about this classic? We will keep your application on file.
The cynical translation. Please don't apply again and make me reject you a click in time.
Is it ever sincere?
Rarely. Unless they give you a specific reason, like we have another role opening next quarter, it's usually just a polite goodbye.
And finally, the position has been canceled.
The manager was just window shopping and never actually had the budget or approval to hire. It was a phantom job from the start.
Well, now that we're all thoroughly depressed. No, but seriously, knowing all this is one thing, but what can we actually do?
Right, let's get to the comeback. Let's talk strategy. And one of the most surprising things we found was about the simple thank you note.
Do people still do that? It feels so old-fashioned.
That's exactly why it works. The data is shocking.
Yeah.
80% of hiring managers say thank you notes influence their decision.
80%.
But get this, only 24% of candidates actually send one.
That is a massive opportunity gap.
It is. And here's the kicker. 16% of recruiters have dismissed a candidate specifically for not sending a thank you note.
Wow, so you can actually lose a job just for not sending a simple follow-up email.
Yes. It shows you're still interested, and it shows you follow through. But it has to be a good note, not just thanks for your time.
What's a good note then?
It needs to reconnect to the conversation. I really enjoyed discussing X problem, and it made me even more confident that my experience in Y can solve it for you. It brings your value right back to the top of their inbox.
Okay, and what about after you get the rejection? Is there any point in asking for feedback?
Yes, but you have to be smart about how you ask. Don't be demanding. Frame it as asking for constructive criticism or if they had any reservations. You might not get the whole truth, but sometimes you'll get one little nugget that helps you for the next one.
And what if you suspect you're in that overqualified trap? How do you defuse that bomb?
You have to get ahead of it. Don't wait for them to think it. Address it in the interview. Explain why this specific role at this level fits your life right now.
Yeah.
Maybe you want less travel or you miss doing the hands-on work. You have to make them believe you want this job, not just any job.
And to combat being forgettable,
You have to refine your pitch. Know your unique value, what makes you different. You have to be the candidate who solved the big supply chain crisis, not just candidate number 4.
this has been so eye-opening. It really feels like pulling back the curtain on a process that is usually a total black box.
I think the biggest takeaway is that rejection is a cocktail.
Mhm.
It's rarely just one ingredient. It's a mix of those structural things, like an internal hire, the psychological factors like bias, and yes, your actual skills and performance.
It definitely helps to know that a no isn't always a final judgment on your worth. Sometimes it's just bad luck.
Absolutely. Think of every failed interview as just collecting data for the next one. And if you do have an interview or a big career moment coming up and you feel like you need some tactical one-on-one support for these high-pressure situations, w.r.a.c Career Services offers comprehensive interview performance coaching. It's designed specifically for these challenges.
You can visit our website for more details on how we can help you turn that nervous energy into a really sharp focus. Before we sign off, we always like to leave our listeners with a final, provocative thought, something to chew on.
While I keep coming back to that idea of in-group bias, we know we're biologically wired to trust people who are like us. In the corporate world, we give it a nice name. We call it cultural fit. But if cultural fit is really just a code word for people who look, think, and act just like the hiring manager, then what does that actually mean for innovation?
That is a huge question.
It is. If we only ever hire the people we're immediately comfortable with, aren't we just building these perfect echo chambers that are pretty much guaranteed to stagnate?
Are we hiring for comfort or are we hiring for growth? Something to think about the next time you're on either side of that table. Thanks for diving deep with us today.
See you next time.